Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 48, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. Right. Well, how about we go talk about this in one of the offices in this mansion? I offered, and Serafall hurriedly nodded with her black hair and twin tails bouncing behind her in the same excitement. Girls, please clean up and good job defending the household, I said to them, and Serafall pouted while Rias facepalmed. Nay. Did you really just congratulate them for attacking me? Serafall demanded, pouting as I took a seat behind a large wooden desk while Rias pulled one of the seats that were against the office's wall so she could sit beside me. At Serafall's question, I merely raised an eyebrow as I cattily responded. No, I congratulated them for attacking an intruder that obviously violently entered my home, seeing as my front door was kicked in. And none of my girls were high heels inside, so don't bother denying, as you literally kicked the door hard enough that your heel cleanly went through the enchanted wood before breaking the door's hinges off. I said with an eyebrow twitching, as that door was rated to keep a high-class devil out for a good bit. In any case, I had that idea and decided to contact you. Do you have anything you would be willing or interested in trading for such servants? I asked, and Serafall hummed and thought as she poked her finger at her lips. The Serafall snapped her fingers as she dramatically pointed at me. I know. You can join my peerage, and with myself being the Devil Faction's head of foreign affairs, you could get the opportunity to scan a lot of foreign and rare magical materials and bloodlines to expand your powers. Rias's hand casually holding onto the arm's rest of her wooden chair clenched, and the room was filled with the sounds of the wood shattering into pulp in her hands. Then she slowly lifted her arms as she folded her arms across her chest, and she eyed Serafall Leviathan. Lady Leviathan, I sincerely hope you aren't trying to poach. No, steal my most precious family member. Not even Big Brother Serzex will forgive you if you try to force this. Rias said softly, and I almost gulped, as never before had I heard such spite and venom in her voice, and even Serafall's eyes widened in shock at how Rias responded before I could. Ahem, I said, cutting through the tension. I am most appreciative of your offer, Lady Leviathan, however I had a different idea. Perhaps you could give me the blood samples of the original mouse for me to copy down, and you would then be able to take them back and keep them with no damage or loss to them. I offered as an alternative, and as I spoke, I gently took Rias's hand into my own to calm her down, as I could feel her power of destruction writhing beneath her skin, about to fill the air with her indignation. Serafall's face twitched, as although my offer wasn't anything that would actually cost the devil or even Serafall herself anything. But she knew if I got to touch that blood, I would literally be an Asmodeus, Lucifer, Beelzebub, and most importantly a true Leviathan, which could legitimately one day become a thorn in her political position as a symbolic figure for the original Leviathan. To say nothing of how news of me bearing those vaunted bloodlines would spread through the devil hierarchy. I am afraid that such bloodlines and samples are kept under the most intensive scrutiny, and I cannot retrieve those. Serafall tried and then continued. How about some DNA from their descendants? Or even maybe some preserved blood and flesh from a Hydra or even the Behemoth? She offered, and my thoughts instantly went to making my own Godzilla or even a King Ghidorah that could morph back into a monster waifu. But I shook my head, as I honestly had enough handmade servants that will serve my every desire for now. Now I needed to further upgrade my own strength, as I never know when Kokobeel or someone else is going to come to attack Ko, or just to kill me for being the Red Dragon Emperor. I coughed before I spoke, and Serafall's eyes narrowed on me. Either way, Lady Leviathan, I hope you can stay within Ko to keep other entities out, as I made a politically incorrect move, so in return for those magical girl servants being made and bound to you, I ask that you make up some scenario to spend a week or two here in Ko for me to have time to further increase my strength and influence as I master the Sephiroth Growl. I finished. Serafall bit her lips as she thought, and then sadly shook her head. I am sorry, but at most I could stay here for like 3 days. And by then Yasaka and the Shinto's pantheon will get fussy about me spending so much time on their territory, especially in the open. I bit my lips before I facepalmed, as I wondered if it was possible for me to hide Medusa for a while so she couldn't get the Greeks' attention, but with the way she radiated her divinity I doubted it, and in fact, before I could further monologue about thoughts to escape the Greeks' attention, Serafall spoke, and my face twitched at her words. So Jake, is that political hoopsie you made like seducing a Greek goddess or something to the devil's side? Serafall asked with an easygoing smile, but I could tell she was weighing on how much help she could or should offer me if that was the case. But nope, I made her entire face freeze with her easygoing facade shattering like a mirror dropped off a skyscraper to hit the ground. Nope, I literally recreated Medusa Gorgon from FGO in her rider form. Divinity and all with her same petrification abilities to boot. I said cheerily as Serafall's face twisted up into despair at the bullshit I threw into her lap. Because she was the head of foreign affairs, if the Greeks didn't just straight up attempt to kill me, she would be the one who had to officially tell the Greek pantheon that yes, one of their pantheon's gods had returned to life in a fashion, and yes, she is the devoted servant to a low-class devil, and no, she didn't want to be sent back to the Greek faction. Jake. I want 12 phoenix cows for this bullshit. And I will give you the blood of my servant Behemoth so you can get stronger. Just train, or if one of their demigods jump you in the name of some idiotic quest, my hands will be tied. Serafall both promised and warned me, and I nodded in understanding. Alright, get me 3 cows and I can make you some of the phoenix cows along with the magical girls, and I will have plenty of biomass for my own works after you get the behemoth blood. Just out of curiosity, what will it take for me to get those devil bloodlines? I asked, and she blinked in surprise at my return to that earlier demand that she blew out a gust of air. Jake. Do you know what kind of target that will place on you? She asked rhetorically, but I shrugged in response, but she continued. Jake, you have to understand that if you have those bloodlines in perfect harmony and you reach super devil power, literally the underworld and devil kind will riot for you to take the position of a Satan or something more drastic. At that, I only responded simply, and the words stumped her. And for a reincarnated devil to get the power to become a Satan, isn't that what your new devil government has been hoping for with all the reforms you've been pushing? Rias's hands and mine tightened before she spoke softly. Sarah, if you can't help Jake, I will go to Big Brother, and with how Jake has saved Father and Milikas from being poisoned, he will help Jake without blinking an eye. At that point, it was no longer about Serafall taking the political fall for giving me the bloodlines. Now it was whether Serafall wanted the favor of a future Satan or to keep the status quo and allow Serzex to further bind me to his family. Fine. Serafall shouted childishly, throwing her hands up before pouting and pointing at me and Rias. You bullies forced me, you understand. Serafall then jumped up into the air and dramatically spun around with her skirt flying up to show off her panties as a teleportation glyph formed beneath her. I will be back in like 20 minutes, don't go anywhere or I will flood your house. Serafall yelled as she was teleported away, leaving me and Rias sitting in our seats nonplussed on how Serafall just said fuck it and agreed so quickly.